Granniopteryx, granniopteryx. She knows the truth, she's linking every link.
Hello. I didn't make a video yesterday, mostly because every time I looked at the internet, I found videos of this poor fellow getting ready to go out, getting into a lift, walking with friends. And if the police found the video of the arrest difficult to watch, I want to say I found everything around this difficult to watch, especially the views of this young man heading out for a happy night out with some friends. So I'm going to start I'm going to go through the whole sorry mess, and mostly what I'm going to be talking about is the behaviour of the police, which has then and even now remains execrable. And I'm going to start with a transcript of the phone call made by Gurpreet Digwa, who is the older brother of the murderer, Vikram Digwa. And the phone call lasted 11 or 12 minutes, which means that was 12 minutes when Henry Nowak was propped up against a wall, bleeding and wounded, and no ambulance was called. As a matter of fact, the call handler did the right thing. The call handler got an ambulance as well as the police, but that was something else. All right, the 99 call, here we are. The 99 call made by Gurpreet Digwa lasted around 11, 12 minutes. Police have released the audio and partial transcripts appear in court reporting, BBC coverage and news outlets. Gurpreet repeatedly claimed no weapons were involved and describes Nowak's injuries as resulting from a fall because he was drunk. This false narrative, later contradicted by evidence, including a secret recording on Nowak's phone. So Henry Nowak had the good sense to record the aggression that was coming from those two Digwas. And I don't know. I shall leave it to you to guess why Nowak's conversation was not the first thing that the police released when they were talking about this incident. Call handler, police emergency. Gurpreet, yeah, we've just been attacked by someone racially. Yeah, this fucker, we just got attacked racially by some white person. Handler, okay, whereabouts are you? Gurpreet, we're on Belmont Road. I just parked up my car to come home and he's attacked my brother. Handler, you're talking about verbally or physically? No, he's physically attacked my brother. We're Sikhs, we wear turbans, and he's just attacked my brother. Have any weapons been involved? The handler asks. No, says Gurpreet. We're restraining him because he just attacked my brother and took my brother's turban off. Can we have someone out here, please? Gurpreet later says, he's also recorded this as well on his phone. He's verbally attacked my brother racially. He's attacked my brother and took his turban off. I haven't got any injuries because I've just come back to my brother. My brother had his hair pulled and stuff. The guy has fallen over because he looks like he's drunk, and he's fallen over and he's hurt his face. So the stabbing, blood was coming out of Henry Nowak's mouth, and that's what Gurpreet was saying. He fell over because he was drunk. And then Vikram Digwa in the background. So he walked into me, stumbled, he's drunk. Then he goes, who do you think you are? Oh, you're this, you're that. What do you think? You're a bad man. Then he starts recording me. I snatched his phone. He's then laid a punch onto me. He pushed me back and my turban's come off. He started then grabbing my head. So I then grabbed him and then he started pushing me, attacking me even further. He's racially attacked my brother. He's effing and effing. He grabbed my brother, pushed him, and my brother's turban has fallen off. Then he's grabbed my brother's hair and started yanking his hair. Sikhs have really long hair. He started pulling my brother's hair, to which then my brother grabbed him as well. That was the ground that the dig was laid for the police to come. So you can imagine that the police were ready to blame this white man. And that's why they acted the way they did. You can understand that to a point. What you can't, or what I can't understand, is why they didn't check this person on the ground. The digger said he was drunk, but there are a couple of things here. He was handcuffed. I got a comment under one of the videos I made about this incident saying handcuffing is a perfectly reasonable, normal piece of a police procedure. Well, it isn't actually. You handcuff somebody when you think that they're going to resist or escape. If the person is not making any signs of resistance, then there is no need to handcuff them and it is not required to make an arrest. So the police using handcuffs there on a person who might have been drunk but was obviously incapacitated one way or the other, there was no reason to handcuff the kid in that way. Now, at one point, I referred to this police officer as a bully and a despicable bully. And apparently my face, which tends to be very expressive, I know that, showed my disgust at this creature who did that. And somebody commented that that wasn't very nice of me. No, there is no depth to the contempt I feel about that officer who handcuffed an obviously incapacitated young man. I mean, even if he wasn't wounded, even if he was just deeply drunk, it looked like he had some injury. If he was drunk and fell over, then he might have hurt his head, something. And he handcuffed him anyway. No, there is no distaste I could feel anymore. And if it showed on my face, well, good. I want to tell you the two of the police officers who have been identified as the stars of this show turn out not to be around. One of them had left the police force some months before, the female that was identified, and the other one, PC Tristram something or other, the police say he was out of the country at the time. So what I want to know is why weren't these two police officers named? The police are still keeping a cap on that. Now, whether that Tristan fellow really was out of the country or not, I'm just saying that's what the police says. But how can you rely on the police? I'm going to be talking about that when I've changed these pages. So let me find the other piece. Because you see, 3 days after Nowak's death, the police drafted a statement implying that he had assaulted the diggers. That was the statement the police let out 3 days after Nowak had died, when they knew very well that wasn't the case. Later, they made the mistake, you might say, of showing the wording to the Nowak family, who objected very strongly. Remember, this is 3 days after they had lost their son in the most awful circumstances, and they were grieving. And the police presented wording their statement, which implied that Nowak had started it and he was drunk. I actually saw that opening statement. I saw the original at first. The original reportedly portrayed Henry Nowak as the aggressor, implying that he'd assaulted the Digwas. The earlier initial statement said something like, it was reported 2 men had been assaulted by an unknown man, which of course framed Nowak as the perpetrator. The revised version, after the grieving family objected, they dropped the aggressor language and published an update referring only to an altercation between the parties. The Nowak family objected because they believed the draft continued to push a false narrative that Henry was racist or the aggressor, even as evidence, including a secret recording, showed otherwise. And this secret recording apparently is Nowak's recording, which I still haven't seen. Apparently, the police told them about their initial statement, this one, the assault by an unknown man, when the family were there to identify the body. So this family had been told their son had been murdered. And then they went to identify the body. And then they discovered the police had framed a press release about it, which implied that their son was the one who had sort of walked onto the knife. Now, look, no verbatim full text of the draft has surfaced in public. The story comes from leaks and family police interactions reported in the press during and after the trial. For the most authoritative source, check the Sunday Times article on police actions during the trial. Unfortunately, I don't subscribe to the Sunday Times, so if somebody has the full wording, I'd be very happy if somebody would send me a copy of that article that I could read. Hampshire police later apologised to the family over the arrest and the handcuffing. I'm sure that makes everything all right, doesn't it? So here we have the beginnings of the police trying to put one over on the public and the grieving Nowak family. I don't know where they found the energy to stand up against the police in that situation, but they did, and good for them. By that time, the police knew exactly that the Digwas had come up with a false narrative, but they were still pushing the Nowak aggressor drunk story. And then during Digwa's trial, the police tried to interrupt the proceedings with their own statement addressing misinformation, which the Crown Prosecution Service vetoed and told them it could jeopardize the trial's integrity. Now, the Chief Constable, either he knew that putting out a statement in the middle of a trial would scupper the trial, and the trial would have to be rescheduled for maybe some months later, or he didn't know that. Now, which one would you consider worse? Either he knew it would scupper the trial and therefore this would push everything down the road a little bit, giving people time to cool off and possibly the Nowaks to be got at more efficiently, or he didn't know that putting out a statement in the middle of a trial would jeopardize its integrity. Oh, what sort of a police chief is that? Either a conniving bully or an ignorant oath? Which would you choose? Anyway, at least in this case, the CPS did the right thing. This is how the Independent reported it. Hampshire police plan to issue a statement addressing disinformation during the trial of Henry Nowak's killer, but were cautioned by the Crown Prosecution Service. Concerns had reportedly mounted within the force regarding online commentary and the potential for public disorder. Now, this again is the thing that I think is driving the police mostly. They are worried about public disorder. This is a huge concern for the police now. I keep talking about the Aston Villa thing, where the police actually put out lies about the Maccabi fans and indeed came up with an invented football match at which Maccabi fans had behaved badly in order to stop Israeli fans from turning up in Bradford to watch the match of their supported team. Now, the police say that, I don't know what, ChatGPT had invented this story. I don't believe it. I think the police had invented this story, just like they invented the Nowak aggressor story. And I believe that this is just my opinion, I have no proof, but my going on form, I would say that they made up that story about the fictitious match in order to bolster their wish not to have the Israeli fans there, because they knew what would happen. They knew that the Muslims would turn up in force and there'd be a riot. And so they thought, well, we'll just give the Jews a bad name instead. Who cares about a few Jews? They're not going to riot. And in this case, they were faced with some Sikhs who were a disgrace to their community, but they were brown. So they thought, all right, we'll say Nowak was drunk and the aggressor, and that's it. And how can we rely on the police in this situation? This is, well, I've said it's disturbing before. It's undercutting absolutely everything we have that keeps us as a civil society. Right, well, that's my rundown of how the police behaved. Till next time. You can help my channel by subscribing and clicking the notification bell. That's quite important. And by sharing if you're so inclined. Links to my other channels and to donation methods are in the description. But the best way you can help is simply by clicking like and notify. Thank you.